So the first version of myself, I'm 15, 16 years old, the junior self, and everyone's talking about me. Everything's great. I'm the guy. Scouts are in the stands. I'm ranked first in NHL Central Scouting for goalies, and I'm it. I'm the shit. I go through all the ups and downs in junior. I become the guy in junior, top goalie in the league, all-star team, all that good stuff. Then comes the early pro version of myself. The reality check, the rude awakening of not being the guy anymore, of having to earn your stripes all over again, and not having anyone, no mentor or anyone to ask for guidance on how to handle this stuff, and just going through the messy trial and error way of doing things. This video is for anyone whose roles have changed, but their goals haven't. It's about being a pro in the shadows. Welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you guys could join me. I just want to say I hope everyone is having a happy new year so far, the first month of the 2026. I did that video right at the beginning of the month and was hoping to get everybody off to a great start, and I hope that's going well for you all. Before we get going into today's topic, don't forget to smash the subscribe button, like and share this if you think this content is good and it can help someone else. And other than that, let's get into it. Today's video, as you heard in the intro, I gave you a really brief version of the early part of my career and handling being the guy and then not the guy, and being that guy with the ball cap on the bench after you've been it for so long. And I've had a lot of clients going through this, whether it be in junior or early in pro. And I figure if we can help some of the kids younger learn about this stuff before they get into these situations, because oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes when they're kids in minor hockey, they're it, right? And they're doing really well and they're that big fish. And then whether it's starts in junior, for me, it really kicked in the early part of pro. But wherever it is, this is very relatable to all types of places where you're at in your career. If you can learn this earlier on how to handle it and how to be a pro about it and have a pro mindset, you don't have to be a pro to have a pro mindset. And that's going to be kind of what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to use the junior versus pro, the transition, and from being the guy to not being the guy, the way I described myself. There's a bit of a trap that happens, and a lot of it comes from our own egos. I know this personally. I was very confident kid about who I was and how good I was, or how good I thought I was. And the ego, if you don't know how to manage it, can really change your trajectory of where you want to go towards your goals. It could head you totally down the wrong path. I'll give you a quick example that anyone can relate to, and that's a goalie, is when you feel like you're not seen. You know, you feel that all of these things that are happening or not happening for you are being, because they feel a certain way about you as a person, as a goalie, and you develop a lot of speculation as to what they're feeling about you. And if you feel like you're not seen and you're not the guy, attitudes change, perception of yourself definitely changes, some worse than others. I know a lot of people externally show themselves as down or angry or not a good teammate. And this can be very hurtful for you in multiple ways about, your next start and what the coach is thinking up in his head about how he's seeing you. One of the big advantages of having, say, someone like myself just describe a lot of these things is you don't have to do what I did and go through this painstaking trial and error process. And it's like this, man, it's not easy. So hopefully I can guide you a little bit and shorten the learning curve for you, so you don't go through all of these things that, say, that I went through, and then know how to handle things. A real big key through all of this is knowing your worth and believing in yourself, and not getting focused on, say, what other people are thinking about you or where you are in the depth chart. That shouldn't guide your value and your worth. You should know it. Like, you should definitely be honest about yourself and where you're at. Don't try to create this fantasy land of how good you are, and just think that manifestation is in itself is going to make things to be. Like, if you're not the top goalie in the league and you're quite far from it, you haven't even really played a lot, you can't just say I'm the top goalie in the league. You can believe that you have what it takes to be the top goalie in the league, but you have to be honest. Having said that, if you do have a good assessment of yourself and your worth, that I'm doing really well and I'm heading in the right direction, and that's what's important, and not what maybe your speculative self is thinking about the coach and scouts or whatever on your worth. Really try to focus more so on what you think of yourself, where you're at, and where you need to go. The next part I'm going to talk about, if any of the clients that I have watch this, they'll be like, man, I've heard this a lot, but it's really important. Um, because of the ego and all of these things that I described that can be floating around in your head, we get focused on all this outside shit, right? And I talk about it all the time that we need to focus on us and our practices. Like, when we're not the guy, our game 7 needs to be our practices, and having enjoyment and loving just being on the ice and being grateful for being on the ice. And when you focus all on that and you give your 110% effort towards your practice time, and you actually present well because you feel this way and this gratitude towards just being on the ice and going for your goals and your dreams, and you stay in that pocket, that presents well to coaches. People see that, man, what a teammate, what a great teammate, and look at, he's busting his balls off, or her, and and that's when those opportunities start to come. But if you get off the track and you start focusing on the negative about how they're not giving you your due opportunity, and you're getting screwed, and you get negative or you get down, anywhere down that negative path, things go sideways and it does not present well. So if you do these things that I'm talking about and you stay focused on your present and what you're doing and having fun doing it, then when you do get that tap on the shoulder and say you're in tomorrow, you're pumped, you're excited, you're grateful for the opportunity, and then the best version of yourself, I can't make no guarantees, but the best version of yourself will definitely come out more often than not. Than if you go the other route and you're using negative motivation, like, F this guy, I'm going to show him. You're really rolling the dice, man, on what's kind of version of yourself is going to step onto the ice. Some days it can be good. I'm a really great example of that. When I was younger, I was all hot and bothered and going to show everybody, prove everybody wrong, because I was smaller goalie and everybody had these doubts about me, even though I was really good, about whether I could be a pro in the NHL and a top level goalie because of my size. I use that negative motivation. Now, don't get me wrong, it can work. At times I did it, but it's a rough way to play, man. Over the long haul, it's absolutely draining, and I believe there's a healthier way to do this. I want to go back to the ego. The ego versus the consummate teammate. This is so common in the locker room. I know anyone that is a goalie has experienced this, whether they're the guy or not the guy. Oftentimes, there's a bit of imbalance. Uh, Sometimes there's really good cohesive goalie tandems, and it's great. I've coached them. I've played in great tandems, uh, and had some really great friends. To this day, I have really good friends. You know, I played with Jamie McLennan and Junior, and we're friends to this day. Um, and it really helped both of us, even though when Jamie first came to Lethbridge in junior and he wasn't the guy, and I was, um, we became tight. And he, I always talk about Jamie in other videos too, because I was always in awe, but more so in awe when I look back as an adult at how he portrayed himself and conducted himself. He was using this pro mentality and being selfless and grateful to be on the ice every day, hard worker, never bitched when he wasn't playing. And it was like every time he got net, I'd play a string of games and he'd get net and he would play great. And I'm like, wow, man, I didn't have that. I was always, you know, wanted to be the guy, felt I deserved to be the guy. And if I wasn't the guy, I wasn't happy. And Jamie was never like that, man. And it showed in his career. When I left Lethbridge, he became the top goalie in the league right away. And, he ended up with what, a 16-year career in NHL or whatever it was. And he was a backup for a lot of it, for pretty much all of it. But everyone, if you ever ask anyone that played with Jamie, that's the first thing they say about him, on what a great pro and teammate he was. He was always there when you needed him, but he was always there when you didn't need him. So I think it's such an important thing when you're moving up the ranks and you get in that moment where you're not the guy, that you don't let the ego take control of you and you really focus on being a good teammate and being grateful that you're there. And eventually, if you keep that mentality, you'll be ready. I can't guarantee that opportunities always come, but I can guarantee you'll be more ready for if they do come, and you'll be ready to be that best version of you. This is actually quite universal. I was just thinking as I was talking about people in offices. This is very, very relatable about how to handle and work with your peers, whether a little bit above you or below you, and managing this all. And having the same type of mentality, being pro about everything and presenting well and not getting down when you're not being seen. So this can apply to all facets of your life. So I hope you really take this into account, that it's not just goaltending, but it can be really helpful for you in all facets. As I talked about earlier in the intro about, my career and the early parts of it and having to go through all of these ups and downs, I just want to lastly emphasize that no matter where you're at, I used my example and it was junior into pro, but this can be worked on at any stage. It's not too late. You can work on it even if you're already in the NHL, because we don't oftentimes handle not being seen very well. And if you've not been good at it growing up, it's often still there as an adult. So I just want everyone to know that you can always work on this and be a better teammate and be better at focusing on just you. And I don't mean in a selfish way. I just mean focusing on what you can control and not being focused on the outside shit, okay? So lastly, I wanted to say that some of the biggest saves that I made or the biggest moments I had, like for example in Nagano in the Olympics, weren't the real big learning experiences for me. The big save was back then when I was learning how to figure out not being the guy and the ups and downs and learning how to manage my ego through all of that. It didn't come easily. It took me a long, long time. And even into pro, when I started to figure out things, that ego was always nipping on me. Even in Nagano, I've told that story to my clients a number of times. There were things in Nagano leading up to that I didn't handle all that great. I look back. But as each experience happened, I grew and I learned a little bit more. And there is real value in learning from experience and growing. But there also is a window in hockey that, isn't forever. So learning this earlier can be very, very helpful for you. So I hope you take some of this that I've said and try to implement a different way of thinking for yourself. And hopefully you'll be better off. I would love for you guys to share your stories with me, your shadow moments of not being the guy and how you handled it. If you didn't handle it well and you're looking to get better at it, or if you did handle it well, I would love to hear some success stories as well. I would also love for please subscribe and share this with anyone you think that this might help. Other than that, man, I want you all to have a great week and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Peace.